What's up, everyone? Welcome to A Love Like That podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Jacqueline.
And we are here once again for another excellent, awesome episode today.
Exciting episode.
And I just got to say real quick, this is just me just trying to suck up to my wife. You look great, babe.
Oh,
just
want to let you know to get those brownie points in for later.
I'm just saying, listen, I try to get as many brownie points as
possible.
That's
right. Set it up, babe. Those deposits.
Just a little bit.
Appreciate it.
But we are here with some really extremely special guests here today.
Yes.
Good just people. Wonderful individuals here who are here hanging out with us today. I'm not even gonna go into the whole 2-hour speech about them. I'm just gonna go ahead and get straight into it. We have Jay, Crystal, the Strouds. What's going on, everyone?
Yes.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us. Making us feel so important.
Hey,
yeah, special.
It's all good. It's all good. Thank you guys for making time to come out here and listen.
Absolutely.
Look, you guys made the flight too.
It's our date. It's our date night.
I love it. This is a double date. Come on.
This is something different.
Right. Yes.
Spicy.
A little something different on a Friday.
Let's do it. I love it. Well, thank you guys for coming on. And I guess I'll start back here. So I had a chance to connect with Jay a few years ago, and I just off the bat, just a good brother, and I just knew that solid dude, and we just been able to just have the good synergy between each other, and I was able to get a chance to we were able to get a chance to be on the podcast, Truth No Chaser.
Absolutely.
Make sure y'all go subscribe to their podcast.
Yes.
Okay. Expeditiously, and we got a chance to chop it up and just really getting a good feel for each other. I said, you know what, gotta have you and your wife come on, man, to the show.
Yes.
And I'm glad I see you guys made it.
We made it. We're excited. It's the highlight of the week.
Yes.
Hey, let's do
it. Love it.
Way to close out a week.
Yes. So I always ask people, we always say this is a Love Like That podcast, this not a love like this, but a love like that, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. So a love like Jay and Crystal, how would you describe it? A love like Jay and Crystal is what?
Unorthodox.
Okay.
Naked and unafraid.
Ooh, naked and unafraid.
Okay,
I love it.
And we're talking about vulnerability.
Come on, those are two new words.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear about it.
Yeah.
That's us.
Yes, I love it.
We had to earn it though. It didn't come like experiences brought it. Marital experiences, good and the bad ones, brought it. So it was like, okay, the only way we're going to survive is if we can be vulnerable. Like I had a moment, what was it? Maybe a few days ago, last weekend, and I was like, okay, this is something that I've been holding on to. This is a problem for us. That's a problem it's a problem for us because it's a problem with me.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I really don't know what you could do with it, but you've always, and I told her this, I said, yeah, you always like, just share it with me. So
doesn't matter what it is.
Here it is.
Yes.
And what we learned is that I had to learn this because I'm as a man, we're like problem solvers. Like what's the solution? Like A plus B equals C. Let's get to it. But I had to learn that the solution sometimes is in the sharing. Like that's just it. Like the intimacy is in the sharing. She was like, I appreciate that. That helps me. And I was like, I don't know how, but I just wanted to give it to you. Like if I should share, I probably should share this with my wife.
Yeah. Because you're putting all the details out there. Yeah.
And it took us some time to get there, but I think that's our, they say marriage is a ministry. It's like, that's our testimony to just, and that cliche saying, naked and unafraid, I can't copyright that. We did a couples counseling with Word of Faith, and it was called Naked and Unafraid.
I like that.
What was it called?
No.
We're going to have to keep it with Naked and Unafraid.
I think that was like a...
it was the saying. It wasn't the name of it.
That was like a segment. That was like a saying.
It was a segment of it.
Yeah.
But Naked and Unafraid sounds
But that
good,
was
though.
like the segment that like really connected with us. And the first lesson was, your spouse is not your problem. We were like...
Wait now.
I got a list going on over here that we need to talk about, but then it taught us to be a little bit more reflective.
Yeah.
About ourselves, our marinade, how we were made up in our upbringings, just how we were created and how God organized our lives, the good and the bad, and then how we were brought together. So like my problem with him is not his problem, it's my problem, and his problem with me is not my problem, it's his problem. And we had to, it was a lot of work. What was the name of it? Goodness, that's terrible.
It's gonna come back.
The moment that you watch, the moment that you guys walk out of here,
it's gonna be like, there
that's
it
it.
is.
Right.
But it's a very great, I even talked to Pastor Hill about it, like this program was really great for us. It was a strong ministry of couples, leading couples, and the one thing they made us do is get up in front of everyone and just be naked and unafraid.
Yeah.
Share it, don't hide it. And that taught us a lot.
Yeah.
We
That's
had to
powerful in itself.
We had to grow up, and neither one of us came into this situation whole, completed, perfect.
Right.
It was two people that met randomly, and it was like almost like destined. But then it was like, wait a minute, you got your ish, I got my ish, and how we get here?
Yes.
And that's what it was.
Love it.
We're still here. We'll be 13 years next week.
Next week.
Wow!
13
Happy
years.
early anniversary!
Happy early anniversary on
Thank
that.
you.
Lucky
Appreciate
number
it.
13.
So you were getting to the part we were going to ask next. So I love the answers first and foremost. That was the great answers. So yeah, how did we get here? Tell us the story of tell us the love story. How do we get to this point here?
Right, of the random.
Again, unorthodox.
There you go.
You want his version or mine? No.
Oh,
you go first, Jay.
Now I like when you start. And I
You
fill
like
in
how-
the gap. Yeah, I fill in the gaps.
Okay, so there was this beautiful young girl, right?
Yes,
Just
yes.
trying to find herself, and the Spelman woman telling you to just wait for no guy, stop dating, and stop doing this, and stop looking for a man. It was that whole thing. You have everybody in your ear, like you're 27. You don't. Oh, I was probably 24.
Yeah.
24. You know, you're young. You're single. Stop waiting for a guy. Get your house. Do all of these things. And so I got to the point where dating was hard. I'm always someone that committed to a relationship right away. And I'm going to be honest, like, I just was on my computer one day, and there was this, like, ad for, like, Yahoo Personals. And I was like, what's that? Now, this is before all these dating apps.
Right.
It was before when
Right before
actually,
all that.
like, internet dating was scary.
Right.
You know, we had MySpace and stuff like that. And so I made the account, and it was just a profile. You had a little picture, say who you are, let it go.
Right.
It really felt like a MySpace part 2. But I was like, I'm not doing this for dating. This is me setting up my business. I'm going to be my self-made woman.
Yes.
He hit me up and slipped right into what we call the DMs now.
Right.
He was like,
Right.
hey, you're beautiful. He just was like, you're beautiful. And I was just like, okay, I'm not supposed to pay attention to this. So I'm like, okay.
All right, let me put that
But
on.
I'm looking at the picture, and I'm like, oh, he's an alpha he's in North Carolina. Oh, he's a nice looking guy. But he never came at me like, I want to date you. He just said you were beautiful. And I was like, okay, well, thank you. I'm not, I really kind of played it to the left, like, who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. He never tried to ask me, like, can we date? Can I get your phone number? We literally stayed friends for like 4 months.
Wow.
It wasn't until like that December. We started talking in September. Around December, we were still on like a friendship level, and then I started thinking, like, is he weird? Like, what's going on?
Right.
Like, why is he? He's a
Right.
really great guy. We started to talk on the phone, but it was like, I just want to get to know you as a friend. And then that's when he revealed to me that he went through something tragic, and this is why he had to take it slow.
Okay.
And I, inquired about the tragedy, but he didn't tell me at that point. He was just like, it's not important. I just need a friend. And we started there.
Yeah.
The first
With
time
the friendship.
with the friendship. And he came into Atlanta to see his cousin Raheem. And he just happened to live not too far from me. I was in Smyrna at the time. So he was like, where's a central place we could meet? So my friends are like, we're going to take a picture of your license plate.
Right.
We're going to send us a picture.
Send us a hair sample.
Yes. You're going to leave and you're going to report to us.
My
And-
cousin actually lived like less than 5 minutes from her zoo.
yeah, it was really
wow.
interesting. So
Hilarious.
we met at an IHOP. So sometimes people say, how did y'all meet? I'd be like, at an IHOP. And then sometimes
It's
I'm
open
like,
all night.
but if you have time. Then we met on Yahoo Person.
Right.
And, we met. It was an instant connection. I walked out the car. He looked at me. I looked at him. He was like, you're beautiful again. And I was like, okay. We sat on the bench in front of IHOP. We did not eat. And we just talked. And
wow.
it's been we have been inseparable since.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mostly what she said. Just to fill in, that was to fill in the gaps. Like when I first saw a picture of her little, and it was like, it was a plain, like, not candid shot.
I was in red.
She was in
a red
she
suit.
was in a red suit. It was like a Delta banquet or something like
Okay.
that.
I was at a wedding.
Listen.
And immediately I was like, oh, that's straight like wifey right there material.
Yeah.
Like, and so I talked with her and we like she said, we chatted for a long time without really even any flirting going on. Like it was just really just natural, organic, back and forth, pen pally, like real but open, cool conversation. I remember the first time we finally talked on the phone. The saving grace, because I hate small talk. Most people might confuse me for an extrovert, but I'm actually an introvert with just good extrovert skills.
Gotcha. I know how to socialize.
Right, just the facts, okay? Yeah.
But I get tired of small talk like really fast. It makes me. I hate small talk. Let's just get right to the part where everybody knows each other and everybody's comfortable. And if we can't do that, let's just not talk.
Yeah.
You know,
let's not do this.
So the fact that she was extremely talkative our first conversation, and she had like weird dating stories that she was sharing, and she was embarrassed. She was like, I can't believe I shared that. And I'm thinking to myself, thank you for doing all the talking.
It. Right.
This is going to work out.
Yeah.
Overshare. It's like, why, Crystal? When I think about it, he replays some of those conversations back, and I'm like, I asked him questions from bad dates, like, do you do this? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm sorry, that was so inappropriate. Probably gave him 5 red flags. Oh my God. But then I'm like, he's not looking for a relationship. So my friends would check in like, Crystal, what are you doing? Nothing. I just have a friend here. I used to tell him all the time, my friend comes first. What did I used to tell you about my friend? My best friend, Shanae. Right. My best friend comes first. So if she is in town or if she is with me, she comes first.
Right.
And so when he
came
in,
So
it's like, I can't say bros before,
Right.
I couldn't say that, but whatever you think the female version would be.
Yeah.
We had this pact because we were trying to be self-made women at the time.
Yeah.
And I had chased guys for so long, always having to be in a relationship, in and out one. So I was trying to assure myself that I was, did you write your list? What's on your list? Okay. I think I went to one of the Daughters of Destiny, and there was like a whole segment on write down, make it plain, and make sure your expectations are clear of what you want in a mate. And so I had this little book, my little pink book that Pastor Hill gave us, and I had all these little check boxes. And I told him the first time I knew there was going to be something between us. He came into town. We had started dating at this point. And he knew my favorite restaurant was Papa Do's, so we went on this date. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, he is checking off all the boxes except for this one that I can't tell yet. And it said he has to adore me. And I could not figure out how to figure that out. So in my head, I'm literally thinking this as we're walking away. And I'm walking in front of him. And he goes, you know what, Crystal? And I'm like, what? And he goes, I just adore you. I just admire you.
That
specific word. And I just looked at him. First, I was like, scary.
Right. Has he been reading my journal?
But no, it was like one of those Tyler Perry moments when you're
like I knew. Right.
Like, oh my God. No, but it scared me a little bit because I was literally thinking it, and I'll never forget walking up the steps of my apartment. I told you that, right? Yeah. We were walking up the steps, and he just said it randomly. It was so random. We weren't in the middle of a conversation. He was walking me back to my apartment, and he was like, you know what, Crystal? I just really admire and adore you. It was like admire and adore you, and I was like, okay, God.
Right. Last one.
And then I was just kind of like, okay, so be open to it, Be open to it. And I was a little bit more open.
I love that. That's important. You definitely have to be open to it.
Yeah, I was open in a different way, not any superficial reasons. Yeah. He was out of state, Truth be told, like, was he my type? I didn't have a type. I just, the last guy I dated that was like my high school, my college sweetheart, they were just polar opposites. So, it was just not somebody I dated before. It was just, he was just different. Different mode, different make, different conversation. He was a lot more mature. 3 years older than me. Yeah. So I was just, everything was just like, ooh.
It was lining up. It was feeling good. It was
feeling very good.
And different in that sense of course, when you've gone through certain things that you don't want, you know what you don't want. So it's like, this is an avenue I haven't explored yet. Like, definitely.
And that's important, I think, because I'm going to toot my own horn real quick about. So
I'm
just saying because I'm just no tooting, but No, because you were saying that though as well, as far as the dating aspect though. You know, certain things you've done, you've seen certain things for a certain amount of time, so you realize what the standard is or what you don't want.
Oh, absolutely.
And getting it together, and so that was something she I
always talked about, because I started dating Brandon when I was 13.
Wow.
So through all of these phases, through high school, through college, through all of the different phases, I couldn't when I really got serious about what I want, I couldn't date a certain type of guy because I had dated him. Because it's like, wait a minute now, I've had better.
Right.
You know,
so basically, in other words, the standard was set.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, we never were able to get back to that point. So, I definitely attribute, early on,
That's what I'm saying.
he's always been the same at I was 13, he was 15, but he has always been the same Brandon that he's been. Like, he always was a little more mature than everybody else. It's funny, some of his friends who are older than him were always like, Brandon was the big brother,
and I was the youngest one,
and he was the youngest one out of the gang. So he just was always very just kind of, he knew, not like, oh, I'm a be playing with you and you. He just was very focused on what he wanted. And so early, it's like 13, clearly we weren't like, let's get married.
Wait, forget that. No, at 22. That's a 22, 23.
Right, but I'm just talking
very
about
serious.
The different.
And she was like, yeah, I don't know about that.
I was right. If you were 22, then I was in college. I was living my best life. It was just like, I don't know.
But I learned a couple of things. I was like, okay, don't seriously date women who are 21. I knew that something about that 21 stage. I was like,
right, we're just waiting to turn 21 so we can present that ID like, hey.
Yeah, I was like, that don't really work.
Right,
like that, though,
it wasn't. But when the time was right, it definitely, we came back together. We understood, we knew, we learned from those experiences.
She's amazing.
No, I
like that word.
She's great. She's great. So, all right. So, I adore you was the thing.
Yes.
And that was the click, and then from the adoration to the, what, I think I want to marry her. Ooh. How do we what was the time frame from that?
I'm gonna let you take this one.
It was a process, because first I had to decide. I had been engaged before, and I lost my fiance, rest her soul.
Okay.
And it took me a while to decide to date again. Mm-hmm. So before I even decided to date again, I said, well, if I ever, go again, I literally pray for each physical, mental, and emotional quality that my wife would have to have. This was way before I met her. And she literally has every single thing I prayed for.
Yeah, she was an answered prayer.
Now, here's the thing. That's the reason why I don't trip when she gets on my nerves.
Because she sure
the only things that get on my nerves are the exact things I left off the list.
Oh, yeah. You gotta be specific.
Be specific. Because God is like,
a little asterisk.
Because right when I go to my "this woman you gave me" moment, God is like, you ain't asked for that.
And you know what though?
I gave you what you asked for.
I always tell to people, God has a sense of humor that sometimes we don't understand, and that's sometimes it's you said, you didn't put that on the list, so checkmate.
And there's no excuse to get out, because the same thing I learned. There was some key takeaways I learned from that same marital program we went through. People often wrestle with, is this person the right one for me? This and third. When you have a Christian marriage, a marriage that's according to God's principles, whether it's the right one or it's the wrong one.
It's called radical love.
It's called radical love.
Okay, there we go.
Radical love at Word of Faith Christian Church. They have a phenomenal ministry.
And
I was radical love.
I learned in radical love is whether it's the right one or the wrong one, as soon as you make the choice, God gives it the choice, and it's the one.
Yes.
And now all the rules apply, all the grace, everything abounds to that relationship.
Yeah. That's so. I just realized this. We have a song. There's going to be a theme song for today's episode. Okay. Shy. If I ever fall in love again, because the moment he said if I ever, that's literally what it is. If I ever fall in love again, I'll make sure that she's a friend. Y'all were friends.
Right.
Yes.
That's
definitely nurturing that friendship.
And when I say naked and unafraid, it's that situation with, and I hope you're okay with me talking about this, but with his fiance passing away, it was very close in time. So we did not date, not knowing. I didn't know what had happened. And when he finally told me, it was scary for me. It was scary for my loved ones. It was a situation that was currently still being like dealt with you know, with the sensitivity of it and investigations and things like that. And he had to trust a friend, and I had to believe him. And that was tough. It was tough for my family. It was tough for my friends to be like, you're gonna go in with the baggage just sitting there showing you like in your face. You know, with someone that, you know, was essentially murdered. Like, you don't, you know, then they started capturing it and making shows about it. Like, Crystal, are you sure you don't have to do this? You can go a whole nother route. You can go you can be free of this. This is not your problem. But it was revealed to me in the beginning.
He told you.
Everything was there laid out, and I had to get close to God. Like, I could not let the voices in my head and my mama, my friends, this and that. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? I was 100% sure in my heart that he was such a special person.
Yeah,
I love that.
I was so sure.
Yeah,
I was so unwavering in it. And even when we went through tough marital situations after that point, I have to go back to that thought in my mind. Like, you were 100% sure. I was steadfast. Like, there's nothing you guys can say. Y'all can pray for me. Y'all can, you know, I'm not leading with any type of like, oh, you're being overly emotional. The guy lives miles away. Like, we have a strong communication, a strong friendship, and I trust him. So it started very early with that, and trusting that whole situation, that God would handle it, and that, you know, whatever the media was saying, whatever people read about it, all of that stuff, I had to trust God and trust him.
Yeah.
And I did. Yeah. And it was so deep. It was such a more of a spiritual connection between us, because I didn't have to. I was, like I said, we were long distance for the 3 years we dated before we got married. I know you said how long. We dated for 2.5, 3 years.
4 years.
4 years? Okay.
Was it?
We're not getting married. I got married at 28.
No, 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Okay. So it was a tough 3 years just trying to understand, like, why him? He's such a good soul. Like, he made, you know, people make mistakes in life. There's so many things and so many rumors and so many things, but I saw him as a pure soul, like a genuine guy that did something that happened. That could have happened to anybody. Let's just be honest. The situation could have happened to anybody, but why him? And it intrigued me, and it made me like our friendship and what we talked about and his spiritual values. I'm just like, why him? And then I was like, well, God told me I have a bigger calling for this guy, but this is the guy. So I kind of knew, and I would tell him that. I was like, I'm not. He's like, are you? You don't have to. He told me you don't have to deal with this. You know, I understand, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. You know, so we stuck it out, and. Really, we realized it was real when Jordan got in the picture. No, that's a whole nother story.
Right, when the kids come in,
Jordan was an oops. A big oops. Like I said, he was long distance, so it wasn't like we were just just living this unholy life as, premarital and all of this. Like, what people think. We were dating long distance, but he showed consistency. He would come up to Atlanta every other week. Every other week.
I had a work schedule. I'd be to come every other week.
I would come out
3-4
there.
days at a time.
It was sweet.
Oh, we love that.
Right, and so
we never went like more than 2.5, 3 weeks without seeing each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It was solid.
That's twice a month.
Right.
I mean, I was trying to figure out how to make marriage work. That if I had a break. I'm just playing. Like, can we go back to
inquiring minds want to know?
This is great space. But truthfully, around the time we decided to go on a vacation together, so we did do one, Savannah. We did a couple, me and him to Savannah.
Right.
And I remember this. And we had
the cabins.
Oh, we did do the cabins for my 25th. So we have two little experiences. See, it's coming back. For my 25th birthday, he did the cabins for me, and that was so sweet. So we went to Savannah. And normally, you see, I like a little wine. I'm just like, let's chill. And he offered me some wine. And I was like, I don't want any wine. He's like, why you don't want any wine? I'm like, I don't know. I just don't feel like any wine. And I was being real irritable. So he was like, you're going to take this pregnancy test. And I'm like, okay. I said, I'm just going to take it. He was like, okay. And I took it. And he came out the bathroom like he saw Jesus himself. He was like,
wow.
On the trip?
On the trip. Now, mind you, I am the leader of the dance ministry at this time. This was 2010 when Crystal Smith at the time was the leader. Pastor pulled me in the office and asked me to lead this ministry. Cabanya talks to me every day. Minister Cabanya talks to me every day. And I got to go back to the Ray of Hope and tell him I'm pregnant.
Little did she know, though. So by the time she found out she was pregnant, though, little did she know I had already planned my proposal to her, which happened at the Ray.
It was in the works.
Oh wait,
it had to be because the way it worked. This was the end of May when I found out. Jubilee is always mid-June. Yeah, my mom and everybody already told me they were coming into town. They wanted to see the Jubilee that Crystal put together. Yeah, so it made sense. I'm like, okay, and I called Reverend Leah now, but at the time she was just my special. Yeah. And I was so close to her, and I just said she's gonna kill me. She was the first person I called, and I boohoo cried like I was 16 and pregnant. You would have thought I was 27 years old, boohooing like a teenager. Yeah, I messed up. I was supposed to be married. Oh, the generational curses. I messed up the plan. Everything. And she was like, "It's gonna be okay, Crystal." She was so calm because she also, I think, knew that this proposal was coming.
I had planned. So the dance.
You had already talked to her.
So yeah, the proposal was right after the dance jubilee.
Okay.
In a few days.
A few months.
It was almost. Okay.
You planned it in a few months, but when I found out and called Leah, it was only like a couple of weeks. That was the end of it.
It was
May.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So
May, and it is June.
It's
right before my birthday.
And the proposal was planned to happen in the back.
After
Jubilee.
After she's done.
Around the whole dance ministry family and her mom, her aunt, and some of her friends there.
And I knew they would come.
So everybody had already been planned. So all these people that she was afraid to show herself to had already had plans to be at this proposal.
They were making sure they were going to be there.
I had no idea. When I say he shocked me, because I was thinking, oh gosh, out of the generational curse, I didn't beat it. Oh my gosh. And I got to the church and I danced the full Jubilee. I was only a couple of weeks. I wasn't even really accepting that I was pregnant. In my mind, I was like, this is just a joke. This is not real. And after we finished the Jubilee, the dancers asked me to come in the back. I thought they were going to just give me a little gift because I was the leader at the time. And I sat down and he come out in this nice fitted suit. Oof, yeah.
Fitted suit.
It was like a French cut, Italian something.
You got to break that one back out. You're going to have to find that one in the closet.
Maybe. Fit it no more.
I was like, I don't know if we can fit that. I don't think either one of us can fit.
It's just motivation. That's all.
Right. Motivation.
And he came out and he sat in front of me, and everybody was there. The only person missing was Pastor Hill. She was very upset about it. She said, "Ain't nobody tell me." She was very upset. Why nobody tell me? But everybody was there. It was like packed in the choir room, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him, and he gets on. He talks about Proverbs 31:10, which I honestly this is a corny plug, but I'm a 31 on my line. He's the 10 on his line.
Okay,
Proverbs 31:10 is our scripture about the virtuous woman.
Come together.
He talks it up. The whole speech is on Facebook. We posted it, but the whole thing was beautiful. And he pulled out the ring, and I just floodgates. I had no idea. Yeah, I had no idea, and it was just perfect. And, and then we both scheduled a meeting with Pastor to kind of talk about it. She was just so like, "Do y'all love each other?" Yeah, she's like, "Y'all gonna be together?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're okay, Crystal. It's okay. God loves you. Like it's okay." Yeah. And that's when I was like, "That's my pastor." Yes. Like she didn't shun me. Yeah. She didn't make me feel like I know. It could have went 100 different ways. I could have did better. Yeah. But it was life, and she's like, people fall in love, and this is the things that happen. Yeah. And she was that was the first mature like Christian talk I had with someone that a spiritual leader that's like, listen. God knows your heart. He knows you, the two of you. He knows He knows what's to come, and I can't judge you for that. Like she was so authentic and sweet about it.
That's beautiful.
I was prepared to be like, you're gonna sit down, but I sat myself down because I was pregnant. So I was like, no, you don't have to. I already know. I need to remove just for a little bit. She's like, no, but you need to come on back when you have this baby. And I was like, and I will. And it was just sweet because then I had the support of the church, and it made me, because Ray Hope was my family.
Yeah.
My family is in New York. His family's in Delaware. I needed them to get through pregnancy, you know. And then Minister Cabana called me and said, Crystal, whatever you do, you need to get married before the baby is born. And she told us that. She was like, and I trust Minister Cabana. She's such a prophetic leader and minister. And she said, don't ask me why, but for whatever y'all are going to go through in your marriage, you need to have this, you need to be married before having the baby.
Yeah.
So we officially got married December 5th, 2010.
Okay.
We had a wedding after Jordan was born. And
Gotcha.
so we got married in Pastor Hill's office. Just a small, intimate wedding. It was very sweet. Just us, my aunt, his cousin. Just us. And Jordan was still baking.
Now,
he was there.
To fill in some real cool gaps and to start off, you know, to add true, naked and unashamed context to, you know, what she was facing. My previous fiance had been murdered by a girl that had stalked her for a year that I had cheated on her with when we were dating.
Gotcha.
So like the tabloids was like, you know, and the whole thing was like, oh, he did it, or he was playing two women all the way up until there was a love triangle, and which was, none of it was true, but that's the way it played out to people who didn't know.
Yeah.
And it took me saying like the full story to her and like, here, take it or leave it, but I just want to be honest with you. And then she, you know, she had the spirit to receive it in truth. And then of course, like she said, everyone that loved her was nervous. They didn't know me, they were nervous for her.
Right.
But that's the beauty of it. Like, so when she talks about like that proposal happened in front of all of the people that love her. And all of the people that were initially nervous, but those people, through ups, through downs, this, that, and the third, love her, love us, love me.
Yeah.
I didn't have any connections in Atlanta other than my cousin Raheem that she had mentioned, and I am, you know, very specifically in that verse, it talks about how the woman is so virtuous and so spiritual and so strong that her husband will be welcome in the gates of the city because of her reputation.
Wow.
I am celebrated and can call this place home because of who she is. Her spirit, her character, her reputation laid the red carpet for me, and still does. Like, let's look at here today.
Yeah.
I met you all through the Ray.
Yeah.
I met you all through friends of friends who were at the Ray. I have a podcast and a whole business with other people through the Ray that I did not know, and because I went there and I've joined ministries, I've been active, so to speak, on my own accord, but I was welcomed into the fold and I was celebrated from day one. Yeah. Because of, like, this whole moment is created because of, like, this moment we're having now was created because I was welcomed into the gates of into the city because of who she is.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
She is a Proverbs 31.
Come on, woman. Absolutely.
That is beautiful. I think that's a beautiful tribute to your wife, though. Seriously.
Yeah.
I would say, so would you say that before getting married, God prepped you with trials and tribulations to help prepare you for the marriage, or do you think that the real test came afterwards?
The real test came after. And I would say that for anybody.
I was prepared.
I would say that for anybody. I only person that was ever honest with me about life is my cousin Raheem. He keeps coming up in this thing. We got ready.
Shout out to Raheem.
Yeah, shout out to Raheem. He's like, you know, like everybody, you have your first kid. Everybody's like, congratulations, me the parents gonna be so wonderful. He was the first one. He's like, bro, this ain't for no punks.
Right.
Listen,
you better get always coming with the real.
Better get your life, kid.
He said you about to leave as 2 and come back home as 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, but the same thing with marriage. He said, yo, this thing ain't for no punks, bro.
We say it all the time. Oh my
this
God.
is not for no punks. And then my pastor up in North Carolina, rest his soul, he used to say, anybody who has a good marriage deserves it. Because you had to work for it. Forget what it looks like, no matter how good it looks, whether it's good or bad. They got a marriage and they're still together and they're still strong. There was a lot of work involved with it. They deserve it.
Yeah.
You know, nobody accidentally has a good marriage.
You're right. That's true.
Okay. That just brought me back to something. Remember when I showed you that video? There's this woman. She was talking about. She was like how she doesn't want struggle. She doesn't want struggle in her
Don't
life.
get married.
Case.
Just die.
I mean, how realistic is that? Right? I try to talk to, and I'm like, ladies, like I have married friends. I keep a nice, close, tight friendship with some sisters that are married, and we are so real and authentic with each other. I'm thankful that God put them in place, because I would not do this thing without them. But then I have some friends who are single or newlyweds, and it's just like, I'm not gonna put up with this, I'm not gonna pull out that, these are my boundaries. And it's like, it's great, have those, but you gotta live first, right? Because you really don't know what you're gonna do till you get in that situation. You don't know how you're gonna respond, you don't know what you're gonna sacrifice, you don't know what you're gonna tolerate, and who you thought you would, like we watching these shows, she need to put him out, she need to do this. It never happens that way. Right. So I think I don't know who told me this, maybe it was my best friend Shanae, her mom. I think she might have been the person to tell me, but she was like, when you get married, and she was like the first mom that was actually married before. My mom hasn't been married, so her advice was like meaningful to me. She's like, when your mama, your sister, when your cousins get on your nerves, you get rid of them? No, you're married. This is your family. This is what you stick it out, you work it out as best as you can until you can't, but you keep trying. And so I was like, I never thought of a relationship like that as a family member. Yeah. Because, family hurts.
Right, absolutely.
This show ain't about family. So I'm go ahead and leave
no, but it's real
the
though,
family
seriously.
out. But, we stay because we love our family members.
Right.
Yeah. We work it out with your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad. You forgive them, you move on. And so I know it's like your spouse, you're like, but then at certain points in those problems, you just have to be in that situation. Yeah. And then resort back to God. Like, what should I do?
Absolutely.
And I tell my friends all the time, don't come to me if you want me to tell you what to do with your relationship, because I'm not going to tell you what to do with your relationship. You have to make a decision, and there's no right or wrong answer, because it's your relationship. And when people start saying, you need to do this, 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 and this, and I'm not doing this, I'm like, I'm sorry, and I hope you're happy being single. Yeah. Because it won't. Somebody's gonna always disappoint you, because no one's perfect.
Exactly. And everybody's relationship is different, so that's why you have to,
And boo boo, you're not perfect. Like you're not coming with the full package either.
Right.
Trust me, you're not. Like we're all great. But everybody has something they need to work on.
We all have our stuff. Exactly.
And I don't think people really understand that. They can think what they're going to do ahead of time, but until you actually get to that other side, it's hard. It's hard for us to imagine what we are going to do until we actually get to that point.
Right.
And sometimes
so you're on the other side.
My dad used to have a saying. He used to say, "Keep on living." And I was like, man, but it's so simple, but it's the honest to God truth. He said, "Keep on living, son," and that's really what it is. You keep on living. You keep on moving forward. And the thing is that you probably said that you would not work around or try to figure out for that person that you loved, that one that you said that you would spend your whole entire life with her and vow to be honorable to. You will work those things out for them, and with them, not just for them, but with them as well. Right. I know we've had situations where it's like, you know what, we're gonna figure this thing out, and it's because we choose to do so, right? And because it's what we said we're gonna do. We're gonna commit to our commitment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's something that we think is really important. So I think, so all that was to say, yes, it's the other side.
Getting to the other side.
It was all on the other side,
My mother kept it simple. It's like your dad. You said, keep on living life. She said, life has a way of making people eat their words.
Hello.
And it goes right. I mean, that's biblical too. Jesus said, let every man be a liar. Like every last one of y'all, and he used Peter as an example. No matter what you think, you gonna lie. You gonna lie. You're going to. You cannot. The only thing that can be the truth is me. So so it taught me in looking at my life experiences, our marriage. It taught me to just be, people are so opinionated about stuff that they don't know. Right. And I watch, we watch podcasts and we see social media all the time. The most vocal people about marriage be people who ain't never been married.
He had a whole that
my
no end. There are more people if you ever notice, the people who talk, this is a blessing here, this show, because the people who talk the least about marriage are married people.
Come on, listen.
Because we know real.
Yes,
right?
yes,
And I just
yes.
be sitting there watching all these unmarried, used to be married, about to be married, ain't been married.
Right.
Folks just run their mouth about marriage, and I be like,
right.
Yeah,
Are
right.
you currently
Y'all
in
know
the
so
field?
much.
Are you currently doing the work? Right.
But you know what though? That's so funny because I think married people are quiet because it's like, you know what? I'm good. It's one or two things. Either it's because, you know what, we good over here, so I ain't got nothing to complain about. I'm good over here. I'm chilling, or because I don't want to talk about it because it's not good. It's one or the other.
Right.
And
you don't want to pull back the curtain.
What we have, something that we said is that, someone's got to speak for the married people. Where it's like, you know what, someone has to say something because there's so much out there that's talking,
So much
saying
negativity.
the opposite, like what you said.
It really is.
With men ain't this, and we can't trust these women out here. All they want, it's so much out there, especially in our community, because we are the most we can be, not we are, but there's times where we can be divisive in our conversations.
Very.
And so we wanted to be able to shed light on, hey, you know what? No, it's fun over here on this side.
Right.
Like it's good. Like we love it over
We're
here,
having a good time.
And it's work, but I always say
It's
I
good work.
I took that from Christine.
Shout
I'm
out
sorry.
to Christine. Good work.
Shout out to my wife's line sister. No, she said it's work, but it's good work. It really is.
Yeah.
If you're intentional about it. So
It grows you up.
Yeah, it does.
You turn into an adult, like a real adult, like real life.
No, and it's ups and downs. Like not even through like the big trials and tribulations. Just that we ain't talking the way here.
Yeah.
She sent me a text today. I was at work. I said I ain't talking to her for the rest of the week. I meant it. I meant it.
Yes.
At the time, like I meant it in my head. I didn't verbalize it to her
Right.
because
That
I
right.
learned.
She ain't gonna know, but she gonna feel it.
Well, but it wasn't even a
It was
get
so
back thing.
peaceful.
So one of the things that helps me
Lord.
commit to my commitment on my end, right?
Yeah.
Because she commits, like people say, like you choose to be married every day, and every day, some
a
days
choice.
it's an easy
Daily.
choice, some days it's a hard choice. And so the way that I do it is I allow myself to, as healthy as possible, cycle through emotions.
Yes.
She shared something with me that made me understand her perspective, but also I took offense to some things that she said in there. And before I react, it's like, okay, first, let's have this emotion. I'm going to let this emotion sit. I'm not going to act on it, but I'm going to have this
I'm gonna let it
emotion.
simmer.
I'm gonna lean
Right.
into that.
And at some point, and this is what I really learned, I learned to be quiet. Not because I'm scared or this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of
That's
times,
funny.
I'll be like, it's sometimes you gotta take the high road. Sometimes taking the high road gets hard, right? So then I turn to God and be like, yo, this woman you gave me,
Right.
like, what's the handbook for this situation? Like, you really gotta do, like, what's the handbook? And sometimes there's an instant answer, and sometimes you just gotta keep on living and just stick to the principles. And things come back around, and then sometimes you gotta make a hard decision.
That I was correct and
That's
right in the situation. And
That's
then
it
he
coming back.
realizes how lovely.
Maturity says,
just
maturity says, just let that be her answer. Don't even argue with it. Because
lose the battle.
yeah, because all the people who feel like her watching this podcast say, yeah, that girl. And all the people who are in my position understand what I'm thinking right now.
Yep.
So there's no need to argue with that. But no, seriously, it's not even about. I had to learn it's not about who's right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's about what's better.
Right.
Right.
What's best.
Yeah.
And that's what they mean by, like, when they say die daily. You know what I mean? Lay on your
self,
sword.
yes,
You
yes.
know, choose your battles. Which, if you're not careful, that could be a passive aggressive way of, like, building up stress. If you don't address that right, choose your battle really means ask yourself, what am I fighting for here?
Right.
Like, if I push back on her, what am I trying to achieve?
Right. What do I win out of this?
And is that a win?
Right.
When you get the trophy, is it shiny?
Right.
Maybe not.
And what do you do with it afterwards?
Right. You know what? Maybe the win is, whether she's right or wrong, maybe the win is finding a way to be a servant. in this moment.
Yes.
And it's also checking the intentions of the deliverer. Like I've learned too, because he says I never ever admit to being wrong, but I'm like I do in my subtle ways. I listen and I make corrections.
In my subtle ways.
Right. Translate that.
I
realize. In other words.
No, here's why. And this goes down to love languages, right? He's a words of affirmation guy. I'm an acts of service person.
Yeah.
So he wants to hear the "I'm sorry, Your Majesty." Yeah. I will show him that I understood and I want to fix it by changing my behavior.
There you go.
Because I'm an acts of service person. Do you agree with that?
You know, I would agree with that. Yes, you do. But I actually learned something new on the Truth No Chaser podcast when we had a guest. We were talking about love languages, and what I learned is we get so caught up in our love language, right? Mm-hmm. And what I learned is, and I try to implement this recently, is that rather than saying, well, this is my love language, I'm going to give it to you the way I need to give it to you. If I love her, then I should try to submit and give it to her the way that she receives.
Love her the way she needs to be.
Exactly. It's after service. Marriage is in the service business.
Yeah. Now I want you to hear this. I need to do better at that.
I hear
that.
I appreciate that.
I do.
First step. You see,
we're breaking this. We got a first on the show.
I need to do better at words of affirmation because, to me, words from my marinated house, like people say things all the time, they don't mean it. Mm-hmm. So your words are nothing to me unless your actions follow up. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how much he needed affirmation.
But I know you don't say things you don't mean.
I don't. However, I know that the positive things I do think can't stay up in here and just can't be my actions. You need to hear me say, "You did a great job today, baby." He like the kids in my class. Like I'm like, it works. Like you know how you tell your students, "You're amazing at that, Johnny." Like,
and they're gonna give you more of it.
He lights up like a little boy in the candy store.
I was just about to say, just this admission right here, alone, like, and guys, you feel me? It's like it takes me right back to the steps at the apartment. I adore you, like, and just like that. That's how foolishly we are in love as husbands. Like we're like,
that's all he needs is for me to tell him he's doing a good job, and for me, it's like, I show you that. Yeah, it's that constant battle,
right? It's speaking each other's language. I know. In one of the past podcasts that we had, my parents came on, and my mom is a big quality time, and my dad is more like acts of service, etc. And so she was just saying, you know, after a certain amount of time or just years, she essentially had to learn to be bilingual.
She said,
she had to recognize, you have to be able to speak multiple languages. So it definitely makes sense. You definitely have to. I mean, we're pouring into each other, so we got to make sure that we are giving. I mean,
his language,
exactly.
Because she could be showing me, but if that's not the language that I
then you're not even seeing it. You're not even recognizing.
And can I say something real quick? I mean, and let me know if I'm going down the right path or not. I think for men, not all men, but a good portion of men. And I know women do it as well. You know, you ladies have a lot of things that you all do that we don't even understand or know about. But I think for men, for husbands, there's so many things that we take on, internalize, process, and do and deal with, and sometimes we don't even really let on to it. But when we get those words of affirmation, that encouragement from the woman that we say that we profess our love to, that helps keep us going. You know?
That's key. You know, that goes back to why I was like, I ain't speaking to her today, because she had worded something in there, because we internalize a lot. Mm-hmm. Black male culture teaches that. Western civilization, probably male culture all across the world, teaches you to just grit and grind. Yeah. And there's a different level of stress when, even in Christian marriage, we're taught that the male is like, quote unquote, the head. And if you, in a healthy way, if we look at that properly, there's a different level of stress when you're the last stop. And like this, can't explain it. When you're the last stop, that's something that you can't count it as a chore. You can't count it as a duty. Yeah. Like when because if the house falls apart, if everything falls apart, nobody's gonna look at her and say what happened.
Nope.
Now let me put a rebuttal in there. Women are the backbones, and it doesn't take that away. We will take care of it without the recognition because it's okay, but the house won't fall apart because regardless, you have this person right there being like, "Hey, don't worry, I got it. I'm helping you." Yeah. And we don't need to be the provider. We don't need to be the head. It's fine. Well, I think we naturally do it, and it's historical.
It's two different I think it's two different stresses. It's two people trying to fulfill the same goal, but in different roles.
Right.
So the pros and the cons, or the stresses and the relievers of that role, they play out differently. And it really is I probably sucked in the first going on 13 years. I would say the first 10 years of the marriage at opening myself to understanding her position, which I had to do because then I was like, it makes everything better if I understand her more. But I think that's just the thing, just learning how to, the hard part is, man, as you were saying, like it's hard expressing those things that we kind of take on, whether they be tangible or not tangible. It's hard expressing it because it's hard to put into words. We generally don't use the words.
Communication easier.
We just grunt.
Yeah, we just in this like on to the thing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's a good thing. It's just kind of, it is what it is. It's hard to break the habit when you're feel like you're that way naturally. But everything around culture supports being that way, so we really trying to break that.
Yeah.
I want to ask, what do you admire most about him today?
Love it. Yeah, that's a couple of things, but
today that was a good.
Today, I love that my husband always is his pure, authentic self, no matter what. He has a heart of gold, and I feel like even in these situations where I can make him so upset, or he makes me upset, he's gonna be the first to apologize always, no matter what. Even if it's I apologize for misunderstanding you, he's always humble, and that humility lets me see straight through the BS and everything else that was clouding my judgment and my emotions. I'm all emotional, and it just always brings me back to, okay, this ain't my enemy. Let me just center it. And he's very consistent at that. If anything, he's consistent at. We got a list of things we're gonna work on. But the thing that I love about him today is that even though he tried his hardest not to talk to me walking through the door, he came in and he was trying to be tough, and he's like, I want you to wear those shoes with me, baby. Like, I got your new Jordans here, baby. You want to wear those shoes together? And I just knew in his heart, like, he's always the bigger person in that sense. And I love that he humbles himself no matter what. With me. Now, everyone else, I don't care. Like, I've seen him go from 0 to 100. He'll check. I know he's going to protect me.
Right, no matter about the world.
But with me,
yes.
I see a gentleness with how he handles me.
I love that. And handle me with care.
Today, that's why I love him, because he knows that despite what I'm going through, what emotions and whatever day I'm having, he's always that solid, consistent person for me. He's never neglectful in that area.
Love that.
That's my why.
Consistent person. I've heard beautiful. Consistent throughout. Now, and I love that.
With that piece.
Yes.
Let's be clear. I love my husband, but this, internally, emotionally, he's what I need, because again, it always goes back to our upbringing and our marinade. And I didn't grow up with someone in my household showing me how to be loved and how to, I didn't have a father figure in the household. So I was raised by a very strong-willed black woman, and she did everything on her own, and she made sure that we were very strong.
Right.
So sometimes it takes a little bit of somebody being better for me to humble myself and be like, okay, Crystal, and I tell him that all the time, you're being a better partner than I am right now. I often say that to him because I'm still cycling through my emotions, and I just need you to hear it, or it's going to blow up. So, he had his rights, but, I appreciate you being consistent.
Yes.
At being the bigger person in those moments of me being emotional, maybe sometimes overbearing with my emotions. I do warn him, like, I'm going through a rough patch right now emotionally. Just listen.
Yeah.
And he just handles it so well.
Yeah, but that's big. That's really big. Just.
I mean, it can be. Thank you for that, babe. Yeah. It can be. I would say I was always naturally that person.
Okay.
Like just outside of relationship period. If anybody period has a long standing beef with you, is with me, it's definitely you cooking that steak. Like I let it go. But in marriage though, it's after year, it's easier to be like, I ain't fixing this. It is what it is. I'm going to watch the game. Like, you know what? Matter of fact, be mad so you can stop bothering me. You know?
Right. Let's settle into our different lives.
But then that's where, like, you know, I haven't been in church as much lately since the pandemic, but I do check in.
Yeah.
And allow myself to be held accountable. Nothing holds me more accountable than parenting my children, especially my son. Because God showed you yourself, right?
Yes.
And in those moments, I say, okay, like you can't. If you have any level of relationship with God, you can't go on and wrong but so long, right? Before you try to reverse it, even if you go right back on Tuesday, at least
it comes to a head. It comes to a head, yeah.
So it's like, okay, somebody's got to set the tone, but she's a very genuine spirit. So if it's not genuine, she's gonna see it, sense it, feel it. But it's not difficult for me to be genuine with it. I literally be like, all right, God, what you got for me here? Yeah. Like, call to play. I'll run it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And because there's probably something that she's right about and I'm missing, that she's not completely crazy. Right. So
did you ever get those babe, I had a dream or I had a vision about something?
Oh my God.
Things, and it's like
her middle name is Danielle. Danny, the dreamer in the Bible.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
She wakes up and tells you she had a dream with a vision. It's going down. Like
it's about to
wake
go.
Up angry.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Wake up. What happened? Right. Looking
what you
like
not telling me. One time he woke up upset and he was like, "I'm mad at you right now." I said, "What I do?" He's like, "It was in my dream."
Right. Yeah.
I can't believe you right now.
Right. I'm just angry with you from this dream.
I know. It's fresh. It's fresh.
Yeah.
But she looks out for you, and so you have to know, like, call to play so I can know the play so you can run it.
Yeah, like, you know, and he easily calls to play if you're listening. You know, you get to play, and it's just sometimes it's just humble, like humble yourself, like, and that humility. And whatever, and like somewhere in there's something that I can do better. To focus on that, God will fix what's going on with her. Yeah. Like, just focus on what I can do better. Like, go back into the service business.
That's big.
And just hand over, like don't make it my job to. I'm gonna make sure she understands. No, she got a relationship with. He gonna holler at her.
Yeah. I'm gonna work on me, and if everybody is working on, if we're working on, you know, being our best self, like it's definitely going to show up when we are present with each other. So definitely just checking, you know, and taking accountability for, okay, you know what, there may be some things that we can fix in our relationship, but this is what I can fix. Like, what can I do? What can I work on? So I think that's major.
Control the controllables. And that's something that I think, shoot, we dealt with that a couple of years ago. There was something, she was going through something, and I'm just like, every 5 minutes, it was like, it was coming at me about it. I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
What does this have to do with? This is a you thing right now.
That's the great thing when you're like, oh, it's definitely nothing to do with me.
Right. It's got nothing to do with me, but it was coming towards me, though.
Right. You have to listen, because we'll tell you, like, I'm off right now.
Right. I got a lot going on.
Like, I got a lot going on. Whether it's grief, whether it's something I'm dealing with from work, and I'm just trying to process it. And I just wanted him to feel the perspective, like, moms don't get to turn off. So I got to tell you, because if not, you're going to walk into a whole big attitude of nothing that has to do with you.
Right.
Like everything that I am dealing with as a woman right now. And I got to just tell you it. You can receive it. And that's why I put it out there and I left it alone. But he wanted to talk about it verbally. And I'm like, no. That's going to be an argument, Crystal. No. And I have learned those things. Like, this isn't a conversation where you're at work and you're on the phone whispering, hey, baby, what's wrong? You seem a little different. Oh, nothing. It's fine. Let me text you and just spell it out what I'm feeling, and that's it. Just take it for what it is, and we can agree to disagree. We can talk about it later.
Yeah. But
so
you're getting it.
I have to tell you
that
it's real. What I'm feeling is not a lie. It's real, and it's really has not like this much to do with him. You know, I can recognize that. It's about this much that has to do with you.
Yeah.
A whole lot of other stuff, but I need you.
Yeah.
Because I ain't got nobody else to go to right now.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So. Right.
That can be hard to receive as like a dude, because dudes are like sports, man. You either in the game or you on injury reserve. Like, and if you get in the game, make the catch. Like nobody got to be like, well, I couldn't make the catch because my hamstring hurt and I'm going through this. You need to be out the game. Like, so we have to adjust. Like, so when you hear I'm going through something right now, so you're going through something while you're in the game. Cool. So like, and have to learn to adjust and do better and hear what that means for her.
Yeah. I think that's something that I had to learn, because there was one time where she came at me about something. I was like I said, it was the attitude. I was like, this is really coming out of left field, and I'm about to take this somewhere where it don't need to be taken to right now. If you keep playing over here, right?
No, I'm still working on it. I'm in the early stages, bro.
But so I had to pause. I had to pause for a second. I was like, okay, let me just make sure I'm understanding this. Is this something that, do I just need to let you just talk, or do you want me to listen to just hear you, or do you want me to listen to respond to you? And I had to ask her that just to make sure. I was like, because depending on what she said was going to determine how I was going to respond to that. And she said, babe, I just need you just to listen.
Thank you.
And I said, okay, you know what? Because it changed how I need to look at it. She just needs to get this off her chest, and then I need to let it roll.
Right.
She doesn't want it, whatever the case is. So, but that's real though. But it was something about that moment. I don't know what it was, but I felt it. I was like, okay, I just need to figure this thing out. And whatever this is, that will determine how I need to go about this. And the moment that she said, I just need you to listen to me. That's it. I said, okay, so whatever it is, absorb it, and then roll it off and keep it moving. Don't even fester in it, whatever she says. And then after that, it was like a sigh of relief, and we were good afterwards. You know, and I think that was something that was important, and it's a work in progress as far as doing that on a daily understanding, because I don't care. I've known this woman for 25 years. I'm still learning her. You know,
because she's ever evolving. As you are as well.
Evolving. Absolutely.
Shout out to my you made me my hero with that one. Shout out to my sister. She's like, and helping me understand that about women, because a few months ago, I thought the biggest waste of time that you could ever do is to talk to somebody about a problem without wanting a solution.
So
that makes sense.
You're a fixer.
He's a fixer, and that's part of the thing with communication. It's just what you just said. I'm like, I could high five y'all right now, because sometimes I'm not asking for you to solve my issue. I might already be in the process of figuring out how to resolve what I'm going through, or maybe it's not time for it to be resolved. I had to tell him, like, I am not asking you to solve what I am saying. As a matter of fact, this ain't even me jabbing at you, saying you did something wrong. Just listen to what I am saying is my situation, what I'm going through, and that's it.
My spiritual father taught me the biggest words ever, and that helped me with this. He said, son, listen to her heart. It ain't about what she's saying. Like, we get into the logistics of, so you man didn't take trash out. It ain't, like she said, it ain't even about the trash. It ain't about that. Listen to what her heart is saying, and that's when those words pop into my head. That also goes back into that. All right, let me cycle through what I felt. Let me let that cycle through. So it can go where it needs to go, and then I can go be what I need to be.
And I mean, it also means knowing your partner, because I know him. He's so sensitive about being a husband and being a good provider and being a good father. So if I'm going to say anything about those things or mention it, his ears are going to gleam and hold on to whatever came after your father, this, or you as a husband. He's not hearing anything else around it. It's immediately
right.
Like,
he's listening for those keywords.
Like, what did I like? Now you're saying I did something wrong.
That's true.
I have to tell him, like, that wasn't the point. So sometimes we'll get sidetracked in solving a problem because well, how could you say this about me? And I'm like, that wasn't the point. That was an example. Like, that was not the point. This was I'm over here and you're over there thinking about that trigger word, and I wasn't trying to trigger you. So that's why sometimes I have to wait. I have to think about what I'm saying. I think I'm getting a little bit better with making sure I don't mean to offend. Like, I have to preface it. Like, what I'm about to say is not to offend you. You're a great father. You're a great, those affirmation words. Yeah. Like, this has nothing to do with what you're currently doing as a teammate, a partner. Yeah. Yeah. But there's some things that I'm experiencing that I need us to address, and it's not to attack you. We got to fix it. Right. So that part is hard, and we've done a lot of couple therapy things, and it's all like, playing your argument out, do it the fair way, and we tried it for a while. We did the whole, fighting fair, empathize. I hear what you're saying, and I empathize with you,
and then repeat it back.
But you give what did they tell us to do? You empathize by giving the same situation that happened to you, but outside of that situation.
That can go left real quick.
We tried all these strategies, and at the end of the day, it's communication. Right?
That's it. Yeah. It's key.
It's like, I have to communicate with you, or you're gonna get that attitude that you saw, and it's like, what is wrong with her? Yeah. But if I say it, as my son told me once, Mommy, you're so robotic sometimes. Why don't you just tell us how you feel? Because if I do, I'm gonna blow up. Right. It's gonna be a come apart because I'm
trying to hold back.
I don't want y'all to see me come apart.
Right. Do you really want this? Right.
He's like, well, just let it out, and I'm like, okay. And then he's like, Mom, roll it back up.
Not that much.
No, maybe I was wrong in my approach.
And that was a long ride to school. I'm like, are you sure you want them?
Right. That was the last time you said let it out.
He won't ask it.
You know what, though? As I know, as we're getting ready to close here, I think this episode here, I feel it, though. Seriously, this is going to help somebody out here who's watching.
Absolutely.
This is going to free a lot of people here. Yes. Understanding the communication piece, understanding each other, understanding what's said, what's not said. The loving, the unconditional, moving through all those different things. I really feel really strongly about this one here, because I feel like it's really going to be able to free a lot of people and get them to have some good dialogue. So I thank you guys for being a part of this show.
Yes.
And for just everything here. So shout out to you guys on that. Babe, did you have
just really quickly, guys, in closing, if there was, just for our audience, if there was a piece of advice that you would give to just people at any point in your marriage, in terms of what's important, or what to lean into, what would that be?
I live by this in my heart. I think understanding the person you married, their makeup. I don't want to steal the word marinade, because that was from the counseling we had. They called it the marinade. It will really help you understand their intentions, what they come into the situation with, the problems that are really not about you. So always going back to that center of who are you and who is he or who is she, and remembering that they're not your enemy. We're on the same team.
That's it. Yeah. We are on the same team. I like that, the marinade, because it's essentially what you have absorbed.
It's your whole
life. All of your life.
Because we come with it. Everybody does. You don't realize, I might have had, growing up in a certain household environment, or if you thought your mom and your dad were there, but do you have like a codependency? If you had everything, that carries into your marriage. Right. Were you verbally abused growing up? Okay, well then, if he raises his voice at me, do I shut down? Why is that? Because maybe somebody yelled at you, and you're like, understanding that person, and why they did the things they do. I know his background. I know his makeup. So when I hear what happened and how that whole situation with his ex-fiance played out, and we dug deeper and we did the counseling and talked all through the things that we went through together, it made sense. It made sense, and I don't think many people would have sat down and figured it out. Like, that was not about anyone else. That was a Jameer thing. That was Jay and the path that God wanted him to take, and the ministry that he's going to have from that. It's very big, and nobody understands it, but probably me. But I'm here with it. But I'm here for him because I get it. And I told him, you ain't got to worry about anybody else getting it. I get it. I get it. So
Love that. I love that.
You know, y'all on the same team.
Yes, on the same team. That's powerful.
Authenticity. You know, character is important. And when I say character important, it's not about saying somebody has good character or bad character. Yeah. Just like she said, know the person and their makeup. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, allow them to be authentic so that they can see your makeup. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. Yeah. I'm still learning to trust to be raw with her. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's not until some of my friends say, y'all talk about that with married friends. Y'all talk, you can say that, and like y'all can share that.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah, gotta put it out there.
So
transparency.
And it's still, and that's a walk on the wild side. But you know, it's nice to we're opposites attract. Mm-hmm. Like our day to day functions, what makes us tick, are completely opposite. Yeah, where we meet is our core.
Yeah.
That's
love that. Yeah. Love that.
Those are excellent words of wisdom to live by and great. It souls me. That's a beautiful thing. Well, again, Jay, Chris, I thank you guys. We thank you all for coming on to the show, come on to the podcast.
Thank y'all for having us. This was the wonderful date night for us.
Yes. Exactly. Look, can we get cheers to that real quick? Cheers to that on that one. Yes. Clink all the way. All the way. Well, listen, guys, thank you all for checking out our podcast. And now we get into our shameless plugs here, okay? So let's go. Drum roll, please. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to
all of that.
youtube.com/lovelikeThat_. Follow us on Instagram at alovelikeThat_. Mm-hmm. Facebook, I Love Like That LLC, all that in between.
All of that early. All of that.
Sign up so you can be a part of our next date night events for our next workshops and our next we have our next one, our 5-day marriage bowl 5-day challenge that we're doing in December. So sign up for that as well. We have one every month, so make sure that you guys subscribe and get ready for that as well. You don't want to miss it. And shameless plug as always, brought to you by the Marriage Bubble.
Yes.
Our book as well, so make sure you guys check it out.
Meet us in the bubble. Look at that. Got a little water on it. Beat us to the bubble. Some great stuff in here, guys. You can't lose on any page.
I love my wife.
Go get it. It's we're coming up on the holiday season. What better gift?
I know, right?
What better gift?
I'm just saying. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys again. I'm Brandon.
I'm Jacqueline.
This is the Love Like That podcast. Peace.
See ya.